I have a quantum computer, I'm going to have the most amazing gaming computer. Hello and welcome to Unfiltered Insights, Question and Answers Edition, Episode 1. Today I will be discussing three main topics: technology trends, self-improvement and personal growth, and ancient history. Currently, I am utilizing AI, ChatGPT, to populate these main topics, as well as additional questions to go over for each of them. And the whole point is I'm going to give my unfiltered opinion on all of them, whether it may be right or wrong. It's my current beliefs and my thoughts on all these subjects. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Question number 1. What emerging technology trends do you believe will have the most significant impact on our daily lives in the next 5 years? So currently, I'm utilizing AI to populate these questions, as well as the main points. I believe that AI is going to play a significant role in just about every industry that's going to be out there. One of the things that I really enjoy doing is creating images with AI. Currently, I'm using the SDXL model from Stable Diffusion, but over the last year, there's been 3 different models that I've played with. This is the newest one, and it's quite powerful. I remember when it first came out, there's the DALL-E model. I think that was one of the first, big name ones that came out. The images that it created were pretty lackluster, especially compared to what we have today. A lot of the images that can be created are near imperceptible from an actual image. And I believe that it's going to change the way that we view pictures, because we soon, and already right now, won't really know the difference between an AI image versus a real image, especially the people that don't play around with it. As you start playing with it some more, you kind of notice some little ticks here and there of what gives away an AI image. But I don't believe that, obviously image generation is the only point of AI. It's touching manufacturing jobs. They have AIs that are learning how to run their machinery. AI is going into the cyber tech world, where there's models that can be created to help with threat hunting and tracking down malicious activity within a company. And on that malicious topic, AI can, of course, be used for malicious intent. So there's going to be a whole lot that's going to go on over the next several years, as AI has really started ramping up within the last, I would say, 2 years or so. Quantum computing is another point that I put down here, because quantum computing has also been a frequently touched on topic when you look in the tech world, of new upcoming technology. I don't know when it's going to get to that point, but once quantum computing gets to the point where it doesn't take massive infrastructure and money to be able to run a quantum computer, the amount of calculations that they can do, the amount of processing that they can do, is going to make a lot of things change. Password encryption is going to kind of be nearly not a thing anymore, because of the amount of attempts that it can make at cracking passwords. Quantum computing, it has a pretty limited range of power that it can do. So it's not to say like, I have a quantum computer, I'm going to have the most amazing gaming computer. Maybe one day it'll be developed for that, but the way that it's being developed right now, it's mostly for large thread processing type of stuff like that. Question number 2. How can society address the ethical challenges associated with AI and machine learning technology? So I talked about different models that are out there that can be trained for, say, the AI image generation, or creating models for technology to help with their threat hunting. The problem that can happen is that everything has to be trained off of data. And that data has to come from somewhere, and whoever is deciding to take that data is going to have their own specific bias toward how they take it. Whether they say it was an unbiased grab or not, it's it's what they decided to grab. And that is going to have an effect on every single model that's out there. So there is algorithm bias that goes into AI, and that's gonna affect it. Obviously, privacy concerns is another point that I wrote down here. Privacy changed when I don't know, I guess ever since the internet came around, it's been a thing, but since social media has become such a part of everybody's lives, starting back with MySpace and migrating into Facebook, all the other ones that are out there, TikTok, Instagram, etc. People put their entire lives on the internet for everybody to see. From, I'm going on vacation now, guess what? My home is going to be empty. I have 4 kids. Their names are John, Jacob, Madeline, and Ashley. These are the school that they go to. This is the date that we're doing this. It gets kind of concerning when you think about how much data people put out there. And I know everybody thinks about this, but they don't at the same time, because they still put this information out there. And then when something happens, people wonder, how did it happen to me? So privacy is something that can begin to play a focus with AI, because you can start taking this data and feed it into a simple algorithm, and it just spits out schedules, or it spits out whatever it is that you decide to train it on. It's going to be interesting to see how AI plays a role in that aspect of everything, but also in how it's pulling our private data. Job displacement. Jobs are changing quite rapidly right now. A lot of companies are starting to do massive layoffs as they've decided to integrate AI into their fields. Manufacturing, as I mentioned before, people have lost jobs due to machines being able to do the calculations that people used to do, and not just like a simple computer doing it, like actually learning and tuning itself and making all these changes that are necessary for that. So that's going to affect everything. Regulations and filtering. There's a lot of court cases all the time of who owns what data, how that data is being used. I know a lot of people, when the AI image generation stuff first started coming out, people were complaining like, hey, I'm an artist, and they just took my data and they took my images and they trained their models off of it. So now anybody can just type in a prompt and say that it's from this artist, and it'll make an art picture from my style. And that's with everything else. How do I write papers? That you can train a model to write a paper for you in the style of somebody. And how does that play an effect on like copyrights and trademarks, etc.? Don't know yet. There's not really a whole lot of court precedents being set on that, but I believe that there will be. Whether it's free use, what's on the internet, free use, unless you've specifically trademarked it and said, no, don't take this data. I don't know. That's not for me to make those decisions. Question number 3. Share your thoughts on the future of renewable energy and its role in combating climate change. The state of renewable energy. There's obviously a lot of solar energy development that's being made all the time. There's better technology for the solar panels, more efficient, and more power can be drawn from it, longer lasting. All that's going to really affect how renewable energy looks in the future. I think that that's going to be one of the main focuses is solar energy, because we've got this giant sun in the sky producing all this energy. It's a lot of energy, and if we can really harness that, I believe that will be strong. I don't quite like the state of solar panels at this moment. Every time I have somebody come over to talk about them, I've got a checklist of things that I look for, and I'm just never quite impressed at the moment, but I believe in the next several years that's going to change. Number 4, what is the potential for blockchain technology beyond cryptocurrencies, and how might it disrupt traditional industries? Blockchain beyond cryptocurrencies. So basically, the way that a blockchain works, a blockchain is where there's some sort of ledger, and there are computers being solving different algorithms, and they write onto a ledger that's being checked and confirmed from several different computers at the same time. That's proof of work. And the way that that's so strong and powerful is, unless you own the majority of that processing power, which is possible, but that's what you always try to mitigate with it. It would take a very significant amount of processing power to do that. But if you try to make a change to that ledger, which is indisputable between all these different computers, you can't just easily go in there and change it, because all the rest of the computers would look at it and say, nope, that's wrong, and this is what it should be. And that's going to change. The blockchain technology is going to change a lot of the industries that we look at, especially supply chain. I know that's talked about a lot with blockchain technology, because you have to, as you're moving a lot of product around, we go through a lot of product nowadays, they need to have some sort of verification that nothing has been changed or tampered with, and the blockchain technology would be a prime position to be able to fit that bill. Question number 5. Discuss the growing concerns about online privacy and data security in an increasingly digital world. So, I talked about online privacy before. I'm not going to harp too much on that. But going in about online privacy and data security in terms of the actual data security, cybersecurity type of front. I do work in the cybersecurity sector at the moment, and it's quite interesting to be on the side of it where you can see how often attacks happen on these large companies. And if there wasn't any technology in place to stop it or mitigate it, it would fall apart near instantly. All of your private data that gets with these companies would fall prey to these malicious actors. And as all this technology that we've discussed, all this AI stuff starts ramping up, and quantum computing, that's why I said before, we need to be careful about what we're putting online, because that can quickly change over the next several years of how easily that can come apart. If somebody really gets their fingers inside one of these large companies, it can be quite disruptive. Especially a company like Facebook that has so much of our private data just freely given to it, but they say that it's secure and ungrabbable. The wrong word, but that can change. Next main point: self-improvement and personal growth. Question 1. What are some effective strategies for overcoming procrastination and boosting productivity? Motivation. Obviously, that's a big part. You have to find something that motivates you. You have to be able to find your drive, something that really sets you in line with wanting to get something finished. If you don't find that motivation, if you're trying just to do something because somebody else wants you to do it, that's not true motivation. You're going to not really care about the end result. But if you find something that motivates you and gives you that desire to want to finish it, that's going to help you overcome that procrastination. If it's not something that you really like, school, for instance, I hated school. I had to just find my groove when I decided, I needed to get something done. Had to find my groove, had to find something that let me focus. For me, it was listening to music. If I can be able to listen to music at the same time as doing something, I can sit down and really focus on it. Some people, it might be meditating before they do it, or going on a bike ride before they do it. you need to find something that gives you happiness and joy, and that will help you to overcome these hard things. Treat yourself, reward yourself, then just jump down and do it. Question 2. Share your experiences with practicing mindfulness and the benefits it has brought to your life. Mindfulness to me is more like finding out who I am, what makes me tick, what my roots are, I guess. I think there's a lot more of that nowadays. People wanting to really find out who they are. I've looked into my genealogy quite a bit. Luckily, I've had a lot of relatives, grandparents that have really dug deep into genealogy and gone deep into that. Nowadays, there's a lot of DNA testing kits that you can do that will pull your genealogy and finds out, where your ancestry came from. Me personally, I've got a lot of Germanic, Danish, a lot of European, especially going further back into Viking territory. And I have really enjoyed learning more about that culture, and that's been really fun for me because it really helped me to, find what my roots are. Actually feel like I'm like attached to something, a culture. Everybody likes being associated with some sort of culture. Another thing that I put is body recognition. And I don't mean this as just basically saying like I'm okay with what I am, because just being okay with what you are isn't always going to be the best thing. If you're not happy with what you are and if you want to make a change, do it. Don't say I wish, do it. I find myself getting complacent at times of, not working out and not being as active as I want to be. But then on the flip side of that, I find myself starting to not feel as good as I can. And I think body recognition falls into that because I need to recognize in myself that to be active is to be healthy, and to be healthy is to be happy. And that's going to be the best for self-improvement in that regard. Question 3. How can individuals find and pursue their passions and purpose in life? I mean, what do you enjoy doing, and why do you enjoy doing it? Does it bring you happiness because, it's like your guilty pleasure? At nighttime, I like to sneak a bowl of ice cream, even though I've recently discovered that I'm lactose intolerant, which was a terrible discovery. But, it makes me happy. I enjoy it. But that's just one little small thing. What makes you happy? Why does it make you happy? Is it something that really can get you to drive and continue forward? And that will help in all aspects of, what I was talking about before, like finding your groove and that good motivation. I enjoy going on bike rides, but health, I haven't been able to do that. I've had some injuries, but I do look forward to getting back into that. Question number 4. Discuss the importance of setting and achieving personal goals for self-improvement. Discuss the importance of it. I think first off, just don't overdo it. Don't burn yourself out. Burnout is so real, and that can come almost at an instant at times if you just go, and you think, I'm good, I can just keep driving. You're going to burn out, and when you burn out, you're down for longer than you're up. If you hadn't just paced yourself. So don't overdo it. Set a goal, pace yourself, find that good median. Question number 5. Explore the concept of resilience and how it plays a role in personal growth and overcoming challenges. I think the first thing that comes to my mind reading that is something along the lines of like a permaculture mentality. Permaculture usually deals with more horticulture, like growing plants and in a more natural setting. They talk about like the forest floor type thing. Anyways, permaculture has its roots set in design science and the ethics of it. So design science can be built into your life. So you can have like a permaculture mentality by having a design science mentality. How do I set goals for myself? How do I do this and why do I do it? Because if I build this upon that, it's going to help this other thing grow at the same time. So finding a way that you can help all aspects of your life is going to really boost this ability for you to have that resilience. I really enjoyed prepping, but not in the sense of like I think the world's gonna end today. It could, but that's not like my whole goal behind it. I want to know how to better myself and my life and know that I can care for myself and my family if the need arises. So one of the things that over the past couple of years I've been teaching myself is, how to grow plants. It's a thing that not a whole lot of people know, and plants are all around us today. I started with taking the seeds, learning how to actually germinate them, and then learning how to harden them off so that I can bring them outdoors and plant them in the ground, and learning how to get the soil right so that the plants are going to actually grow properly and not just, get stunted the second I put them in the ground because they had this perfect little container that they started in. If you don't have a good base for them to grow in outside, they're not going to grow. And then learning, oh, I didn't start that soon enough. I need to do it, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months before. Such as with peppers, I have to almost start those like 2.5 months before I can actually put them outside because I have a frost here. All of this, there's so many aspects of this, but it's all built around resilience. How am I going to be resilient in myself? Because if I'm resilient, my family's resilient, and if we're resilient, I'm not worried if something happens because I know I can take care of it. Do you know how to use a hammer? Do you know how to use tools? That's all part of resilience. All something that everybody should know how to do. If you don't know how to work a tool, a drill, a saw, do it. Go out, find somebody that has one, ask them to teach you how to do it, because to build something on your own, you know that if something happens, you can fix something, you can repair something, you can build something from new. And if something ever happens and you need that skill, it would be very nice to have that. So learn that. On to the next topic. Ancient history. Question 1. In your opinion, which ancient civilization do you find the most intriguing and why? I don't know. I think the Mayans and Aztecs and Incans, I think their civilizations are kind of interesting. I haven't really done a whole lot of like in-depth studying on that type of thing, but just knowing the bit that I do, they focused a lot on their civilization because they were growing pretty rapidly, and they really had to know how they were going to feed all their people. So they, started learning how to tend to the land a lot, more than just like going out doing basic harvesting or foraging. They actually learned how to, garden, I would say. The other thing that they were pretty known for, we still see those structures today. You go down to the South Americas and you can visit the old ruins. A lot of the structures that they built were pretty fascinating. Very large structures, beautiful stonework. I think that's pretty fascinating. But again, I don't really know a whole lot more beyond that. All right, my battery died somewhere in there. Anyways, question number 2. Do you believe ancient mysteries like the construction of the pyramids can be explained by modern science? Or do you think there are still unexplained elements? I mean, of course, there's unexplained elements. There's a lot of stuff lost in every culture, especially, the older back that we go. But I don't believe that it comes into anything like, weird conspiracy theories. But, those cultures were very large. They had a lot of people, a lot of slave labor. They can move quite some big things when you get a lot of people. There's devices like fulcrums, basically a teeter-totter. Small end on here, you got a pivot point with a long end on here. It can be a log or what be. Anyways, you connect the smaller end to something, you push down on the one end, and you can lift up some very large things. You stack objects underneath there, keep doing the fulcrum higher and higher. You can lift up some very large stones if that's what you're trying to lift. Another thing that you can do is rolling logs to push things far distances. In my backyard, when I first moved here, there was a shed that was left on the property, and I wanted to move that shed from the front of my backyard to the very back of my backyard. I couldn't do it myself, just on the ground, but I utilized both a fulcrum and rolling logs. So I lifted up the one end and got a log and stuck it under, lengthwise, and came to the other side of the shed, and me and my brother-in-law could push it, got it up, and got another log. So now there's two logs that's rolling on, so it's flat. Once we got that, we got a third log, and then once you get it rolling along, you could just keep rotating the log that comes out the back, and we ended up moving it across the entire yard within like 30 minutes. Super easy, and I believe that was used for building these large pyramids along with fulcrums, and there's a lot of other methods of lifting heavy objects. And again, that's what I believe. There's probably other aspects to it, but we just don't know, and maybe we'll find some in some other research or excavations that they do, or dig sites. Question number 3. Share your perspective on how ancient myths and legends might have been influenced by real historical events. I don't want to go a whole lot into that today because that could be a whole topic on its own, but I will say it is interesting how a lot of cultures and civilizations end up having similar beliefs and theories on religion. And again, I will leave it at that. Question number 4. What lessons can we learn from the successes and failures of ancient societies, and how might they apply to our modern world? It does not matter how big your civilization is, you can fail. That is seen time and time again throughout history. These large empires, large civilizations, they grow and they get massive and they take over, and seems like they're gonna take over the world, and suddenly they crumble and fall and they don't exist anymore. Clearly there's some civilizations that last through the dimes. But, looking at the modern day, to say, I live in the United States of America, and it's going to be around forever, and we're going to be the dominant world power, that could change in the blink of an eye. And in retrospect, a blink of an eye could be a lifetime. My lifetime, when you look at the history of humanity, is a really short time. So it's short-term thinking to say, it's going to be here forever because it'll be here until I die. But really, my kid, it could be his lifetime that, things start to crumble. Financial ruin is really hard. When we get into these, small depressions, it's a depression and it hurts people, but it could get really bad to the point where money just doesn't do a thing anymore. And what do you do if you don't have money? Going back a topic, we talked about being resilient. There's a reason why being resilient is important, and learning skills and type of stuff like that, because that's what's going to be valuable in some sort of financial ruin. Can you build something? Can you help people do something? Because you can trade, you can barter. Hey, I know how to repair your fence. Hey, that wall got damaged. I know how to repair that wall. I could really use XYZ, whatever it is that they have, and people could trade skills and for product. Question number 5. In your view, what was the most significant invention or achievement of an ancient civilization that still impacts us today. When language probably came around, or not language, the written language came around. Obviously, language has been around from the time that man were here. But written language, once that started being able to be passed through generations, we could learn actually from the past and not just have these like little tales that have, played the telephone game over time and have, who knows if that's what that actually was originally. Because we don't, unless we have either like a clear transcription, symbols, what be. But once the written language came around, that really changed the face of everything, because now we can suddenly actually learn from the past and, make changes. Although unfortunately, a lot of times we don't learn from the past and we make the same mistakes. But we're humans, that's just what we do. But anyways, that's all the topics that we have for today. These videos that I have right now, again, are from ChatGPT that gave me the main topics. I may continue doing this same format, this question and answer. I may change it up in the future, but I would like to do some sort of question and answer, whether it be taking questions and topics from you listeners, or whether it be continuing this format. I'll also introduce other formats that I've got ideas for in the future. So like and subscribe if you enjoy this. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.